Hello, my kiddos. Okay, last time, Gandalf and the rest of what's left of the Fellowship, we're going to talk to Saruman, who's holed up in Orthanc. So, and Gandalf warned them to beware of his voice. We're going to find out why. Here we go. They came now to the foot of Orthanc. It was black, and the rock gleamed as if it were wet. The many faces of the stone had sharp edges, as though they had been newly chiseled. A few scorings and small flake-like splinters near the base were all the marks that it bore of the fury of the Ents. On the eastern side, in the angle of two piers, there was a great door, high above the ground, and over it was a shuttered window, opening upon a balcony hedged with iron bars. Up to the threshold of the door there mounted a flight of 27 broad stairs, hewn by some unknown art of the same black stone. This was the only entrance to the tower, but many tall windows were cut with deep embrasures in the climbing walls. Far up they peered like little eyes in the sheer faces of the horns. At the foot of the stairs, Gandalf and the king dismounted. "I will go up," said Gandalf. "I have been in Orthanc, and I know my peril." "And I too will go up," said the king. "I am old, and fear no peril any more. I wish to speak with the enemy who has done me so much wrong. Eomer shall come with me, and see that my aged feet do not falter." "As you will," said Gandalf. "Aragorn shall come with me. Let the others await us at the foot of the stairs. They will hear and see enough, if there is anything to hear or see." "Nay," said Gimli, "Legolas and I wish for closer view. We alone here represent our kindreds. We also will come behind." "Come then," said Gandalf, and with that he climbed the steps, and Theoden went beside him. The riders of Rohan sat uneasily upon their horses on either side of the stair, and looked up darkly at the great tower, fearing what might befall their lord. Merry and Pippin sat on the bottom step, feeling both unimportant and unsafe. "Half a sticky mile from here to the gate," muttered Pippin. "I wish I could slip off back to the guard-room unnoticed. What did we come for? We are not wanted." Gandalf stood before the door of Orthanc and beat on it with his staff. It rang with a hollow sound. "Saruman! Saruman!" he cried in a loud, commanding voice. "Saruman! Come forth!" For some time there was no answer. At last the window above the door was unbarred, but no figure could be seen at its dark opening. "Who is it?" said a voice. "What do you wish?" Theoden started. "I know that voice," he said, "and I curse the day when I first listened to it." "Go and fetch Saruman, since you have become his footman, Grima Wormtongue," said Gandalf, "and do not waste our time." The window closed. They waited. Suddenly another voice spoke, low and melodious, kind of like your father's. Its very sound an enchantment. See what I mean? Those who listened unwarily to that voice could seldom report the words that they heard, and if they did, they wondered, for little power remained in them. Mostly they remembered only that it was a delight to hear the voice speaking. All that it said seemed wise and reasonable, and desire awoke in them by swift agreement to seem wise themselves. When others spoke, they seemed harsh and uncouth by contrast, and if they gainsayed the voice, Anger was kindled in the hearts of those under the spell. For some, the spell lasted only while the voice spoke to them, and when it spoke to another, they smiled, as men do who see through a juggler's trick while others gape at it. For many, the sound of the voice alone was enough to hold them enthralled, but for those whom it conquered, the spell endured when they were far away, and ever they heard that soft voice whispering and urging them. But none were unmoved. None rejected its pleas and its commands without an effort of mind and will, so long as its master had control of it. "Well," it said now with gentle question, "why must you disturb my rest? Will you give me no peace at all by night or day?" Its tone was that of a kindly heart aggrieved by injuries and undeserved. They looked up, astonished, for they had heard no sound of his coming, and they saw a figure standing at the rail, looking down upon them, an old man, swathed in a great cloak, the color of which was not easy to tell, for it changed if they moved their eyes or if he stirred. His face was long, with a high forehead. He had deep, darkling eyes, hard to fathom, though the look that they now bore was grave and benevolent, and a little weary. His hair and beard were white, but strands of black still showed about his lips and ears. "Like and yet unlike," muttered Gimli. "But come now," said the soft voice. "Two at least of you I know by name. Gandalf I know too well to have much hope that he seeks help or counsel here. But you, Theoden, Lord of the Mark of Rohan, are declared by your noble devices, and still more by the fair countenance of the House of Errol. O worthy son of Thengel, the thrice renowned, why have you not come before us, and as a friend? Much have I desired to see you, mightiest king of western lands, and especially in these latter years, to save you from the unwise and evil counsels that beset you. Is it yet too late? Despite the injuries that have been done to me, in which the men of Rohan, alas, have had some part, still I would save you and deliver you from the ruin that draws nigh inevitably, if you ride upon this road which you have taken. Indeed, I alone can aid you now." Theoden opened his mouth as if to speak, but he said nothing. He looked up at the face of Saruman with its dark, solemn eyes bent down upon him, and then to Gandalf at his side, and he seemed to hesitate. Gandalf made no sign, but stood silent as stone, as one waiting patiently for some call that has not yet come. The riders stirred at first, murmuring with approval of the words of Saruman, and then they too were silent, as men spellbound. It seemed to them that Gandalf had never spoken so fair and fittingly to their lord, and over their hearts crept a shadow, the fear of a great danger, the end of the mark in a darkness to which Gandalf was driving them, while Saruman stood beside a door of escape, holding it half open so that a ray of light came through. There was a heavy silence. It was Gimli the dwarf who broke it suddenly. "The words of the wizards stand on their heads," he growled, gripping the handle of his axe. "In the language of Orthanc, help means ruin, and saving means slaying. That is plain. But we do not come here to beg." "Peace," said Saruman, and for a fleeting moment his voice was less suave, and the light flickered in his eyes and was gone. "I do not speak to you yet, Gimli Gloin's son," he said. "Far away is your home, and small concern of yours are the troubles of this land. But it was not by design of your own that you became embroiled in them, and so I will not blame such part as you have played, a valiant one, I doubt not. But I pray you, allow me first to speak with the King of Rohan, my neighbor, and once my friend." "What have you to say, Theoden King? Will you have peace with me and all the aid that my knowledge, founded in long years, can bring? Shall we make our counsels together against evil days and repair our injuries with such good will that our estates shall both come to fairer flower than ever before? Still, Theoden did not answer. Whether he strove with anger or doubt, none could say. Eomer spoke. Lord, hear me, he said. Now we feel the peril that we were warned of. Have we ridden forth to victory only to stand at last amazed by an old liar with honey on his forked tongue? So would the trapped wolf speak to the hounds if he could. What aid can he give you now, forsooth? All he desires is to escape from his plight. But will you parley with this dealer in treachery and murder? Remember Theodred at the fords, and the grave of Hama in Helm's Deep. If we speak of poisoned tongues, what shall we say of yours, young serpent? Said Saruman, and the flash of his anger was now plain to see. But come, Eomer's son, he went on his soft voice again. To every man his part. Valor in arms is yours, and you win high honor thereby. Slay whom your lord names as enemies, and be content. Meddle not in the policies which you do not understand, but maybe, if you become a king, you will find that he must choose his friends with care. The friendship of Saruman and the power of Orthanc cannot be lightly thrown aside. Whatever grievances, real or fancied, may lie behind. You have won a battle, but not a war, and that with help on which you cannot count again. You may find the shadow of the wood at your own door next. It is wayward and senseless, and has no love of men. But my lord of Rohan and am I to be called a murderer because valiant men have fallen in battle? If you go to war needlessly, for I did not desire it, then men will be slain. But if I am a murderer on that account, then all the house of Errol is stained with murder. For they have fought many wars, and assailed many who defied them. Yet with some they have afterwards made peace. None the worse for being politic. I say, Theoden King, shall we have peace and friendship, you and I? It is ours to command. We will have peace, said Theoden at last, thickly and with an effort. Several of the riders cried out gladly. Theoden held up his hand. Yes, we will have peace, he said now in a clear voice. We will have peace when you and all your works have perished, and the works of your dark master to whom you would deliver us. You are a liar, Saruman, and a corrupter of men's hearts. You hold out your hand to me, and I perceive only a finger of the claw of Mordor. Cruel and cold. Even if your war on me was just, as it was not, for were you 10 times as wise as you would have no right to rule me and mine for your own profit as you desired. Even so, what will you say of your torches in Westfold and the children that lie dead there? And they hewed Hama's body before the gates of the Hornburg after he was dead. When you hang from a gibbet at your window for the sport of your own crows, I will have peace with you and Orthanc. So much for the house of Errol. A lesser son of great sires am I, but I do not need to lick your fingers. Turn elsewhither, but I fear your voice has lost its charm. The riders gazed up at Theoden like men startled out of a dream. Harsh as an old raven's, their master's voice sounded in their ears after the music of Saruman. But Saruman for a while was beside himself with wrath. He leaned over the rail as if he would smite the king with his staff. To some suddenly it seemed that they saw a snake coiling itself to strike. Gibbets and crows, he hissed, and they shuddered at the hideous change. Dotard! What is the house of Errol but a thatched barn where brigands drink in the reek? and their brats roll on the floor among the dogs. Too long have they escaped the gibbet themselves. But the noose comes, slow in the drawing, tight and hard in the end. Hang if you will. Now his voice changed, as he slowly mastered himself. I know not why I have had the patience to speak to you, for I need you not, nor your little band of gallopers, as swift to fly as to advance, Theoden Horsemaster. Long ago I offered you a state beyond your merit and your wit. I have offered it again, so that those whom you mislead may clearly see the choice of roads. You give me brag and abuse, so be it. Go back to your huts. But you, Gandalf, for you at least I am grieved, feeling for your shame. How comes it that you can endure such company? For you are proud, Gandalf, and not without reason, having a noble mind and eyes that look both deep and far. Even now will you not listen to my counsel? Gandalf stirred and looked up. What have you to say that you did not say at our last meeting? He asked. Or perhaps you have things to unsay? Saruman paused. Unsay? He mused as if puzzled. Unsay? I endeavored to advise you for your own good, but you scarcely listened. You are proud, and do not love advice, having indeed a store of your own wisdom. But on that occasion you erred, I think, misconstruing my intentions wilfully. I fear that in my eagerness to persuade you, I lost patience, and indeed I regret it, for I bore you no ill will, and even now I bear none, though you return to me in the company of the violent and the ignorant. How should I? Are we not both members of a high and ancient order, most excellent in Middle-earth? Our friendship would profit us both alike. Much we could still accomplish together to heal the disorders of the world. Let us understand one another, and dismiss from thoughts these lesser folk. Let them wait on our decisions. For the common good I am willing to redress the past, and to receive you. Will you not consult with me? Will you not come up? So great was the power of Saruman exerted in this last effort that none that stood within hearing were unmoved. But now the spell was wholly different. They heard the gentle remonstrance of a kindly king with an erring but much-loved minister. But they were shut out, listening at a door to words not meant for them. Ill-mannered children or stupid servants overhearing the elusive discourse of their elders, and wondering how it would affect their lot. Of loftier mold these two were made, revered and wise. It was inevitable that they should make alliance. Gandalf would ascend into the tower to discuss deep things beyond their comprehension in the high chambers of Orthanc. The door would be closed, and they would be left outside, dismissed to await allotted work or punishment. Even in the mind of Theoden, the thought took shape, like a shadow of doubt. He will betray us. He will go. We shall be lost. Then Gandalf laughed. The fantasy vanished like a puff of smoke. Saruman, Saruman, said Gandalf, still laughing. Saruman, you missed your path in life. You should have been the king's jester, and earned your bread and stripes too by mimicking his counselors. Ah me! He paused, getting the better of his mirth. Understand one another. I fear I am beyond your comprehension. But you, Saruman, I understand now too well. I keep a clearer memory of your arguments and deeds than you suppose. When last I visited you, you were the jailer of Mordor, and there I was to be sent. Nay, the guest who has escaped from the roof will think twice before he comes back in by the door. Nay, I do not think I will come up. But listen, Saruman, for the last time. Will you not come down? Isengard has proved less strong than your hope and fancy made it. So many other things in which you still have trust. Would it not be well to leave it for a while, to turn to new things, perhaps? Think well, Saruman. Will you not come down? A shadow passed over Saruman's face. Then it went deathly white. Before he could conceal it, they saw through the mask the anguish of a mind in doubt, loathing to stay and dreading to leave its refuge. For a second he hesitated, and no one breathed. Then he spoke, and his voice was shrill and cold. Pride and hate were conquering him. "Will I come down?" he mocked. "Does an unarmed man come down to speak with robbers out of doors? I can hear you well enough here. I am no fool, and I do not trust you, Gandalf. They do not stand openly on my stairs, but I know where the wild wood demons are lurking, at your command." "The treacherous are ever distrustful," answered Gandalf wearily. "But you need not fear for your skin. I do not wish to kill you, or hurt you, as you would know, if you really understood me. And I have the power to protect you. I am giving you a last chance. You can leave Orthanc free, if you choose." And that's where we stop tonight, kiddos. I love you always and forever, no matter what.